Drew, we got any questions about?
Are the clamps set from the middle out or from one edge to the other?
Yes. Are the clamps set from the middle out or from one edge to the other? And the answer is it depends on what you're gluing on. When Drew and I were gluing ribs, we'd usually start in the middle and work our way out, like the ribs on the airplane that I show there on the blackboard. But but on certain parts of that airplane, for example, the front skids, it was a gentle enough curve that we just worked from one end to the other. So it really depends upon the shape and what makes the most sense to you. You have to think about how the wood is going to slide. Obviously those laminations, when you put pressure on them, they're going to slide and they're going to adjust. So you have to work either from the middle out or from one end over. Otherwise they won't be able to slide. But in some cases, if you work from one end towards the other end, by the time you get to that end, you're going to find they've slid so much that the end isn't useful anymore. You don't have enough stock there. In that case, you need to start in the middle, or start at some place where when you get to the ends, you're going to have everything you need. And that's another thing to consider, is that we made these pieces long enough. They're actually a little longer than 24 inches. We made them long enough so that we could knock off the ends and still get the pieces we need. You may need, depending on what you're doing, to make some pieces in the lamination longer than others. The outside of the curve is going to take more wood than the inside of the curve. So there you go. Anything else? All right. These are the finished rails, and what we have to do here is we have to put joints in both the edges and the ends. We're using coping and sticking joints, and they're fairly simple to make. Shopsmith puts out, and I'll try to get this close to the camera so you can see it. Shopsmith puts out a set like this, where you can make both the coping part, which is the shape on the inside, and the sticking part, which is the ends of the rails or the tenons, with one bit. The problem though gets a little complex when you're working with curved parts. I'm going to do the coping and the sticking here on a router table, and let's see, where did that insert in there? Now, nope. Wouldn't be a sawdust session if I didn't drop something. Now I'm going to, while I'm down here, I'm going to lengthen this leg and get a little bit more support. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp on a backing board here, and this will help guide the edge of the wood. The bit that I'm using has a bearing which guides the wood by itself. But when you're using a piloted bit such as this is, you need a surface and with which to start and finish your work. This is usually called a starting pin, and in this case, this board with this little cutout is going to serve as the starting pin and partially as the guiding surface. There we go. Now, I have here 2 wedges, curved wedges, that when they go together, they make a single shape like that. That is the same radius as these pieces that I've glued up. I'm going to take some double stick tape. You guys fighting over the camera? Okay. Don't make me come back there. Now I'm going to put these 2 pieces down, butted head to toe. Actually, head to head, I guess, if you want it. Now, as I put this piece of wood in, you can see it follows the curve. That allows me to cut the shape that I'm after. Now, I need to raise the router slightly, I think. Yeah, actually, it's pretty good right where it is. All right, I'm going to leave it. Now, I'm using a foot switch here, so that I can keep both hands on this as I make the shape. Let's go. There it is, pretty good there. As you can see, I've got the, here we go. There's the, you can see the curve in there, and it followed the curve nicely. If I mic that, it's right, well, the last one I did ended up a little more than 1/4 of an inch, and this is a little less. But that's okay. That gives me an excuse to show you a little hand tool that it's worth its weight in gold. This is a Stanley number 79. They're hard to come by, but they are wonderful. You can use these just to shave, just barely shave, the inside of a groove like this, and it's working nicely on this curve too, despite the fact that it is curved. Anyway, I can widen that out to right where I need it. Nice little tool for finesse. So. Back in, put that back in there. All right. Well, that's how you put the coping part in the end of, or the edge of the rail, how do we put the sticking part in the ends? Well, for this, we're going to have to tear down again. We'll need this backing board once again, but I have to change bits. Let me pull these up. Get the double sticky tape off. I'm going to switch this off and unplug it when I'm changing bits. Now, this time we'll use these wedges again, but we're going to be cutting in the edge of the board, or the end of the board, and we're simply going to use the wedge as a bed for the board to ride in, so that the end of the board is held at the proper angle. Let me once again go back to my favorite trick. I love carpet tape. Incidentally, some of you have heard me say this before, but I'll say it again. When you use carpet tape for this, invest in the good stuff. The stuff with a cloth backing. The paper backing really doesn't hold well enough to be used in a woodworking situation. But the cloth backing will, and it's nice in that you can get it to stick as tight as you need simply by clamping it in a vise like this right here. I have a vise. Maybe shove this. See if I can get this in the frame. Oh, that's going out of the frame. There we go. In the frame. I can put this under pressure and that activates the adhesive more, so that's really stuck down there tight. Now, let me put this on here. Check the height above the. Okay, that actually looks fairly good. I'm going to take this jig here. This is just a simple pusher that I use for a lot of routing operations. It's just a very square piece of plywood with a backup bar right here made out of hardwood. The backup bar is screwed to the plywood so that I can take it off from time to time and replace it. And I've screwed it in with brass screws, so if I happen to route that, it won't harm the router. Now I'm going to use the backup bar to push this forward. But once again, I'm going to put this board in place to serve as our starting surface and a little bit of a guide. And I'm trying to make the edge of this board even with or a little bit behind the edge of the pilot bearing. Okay, cool. Now we plug the router back in. And it's off, so the switch should work, and it doesn't. Turn it on, and then we're ready to go. Okay. When I put a little pressure on this, this moved, which indicated it wasn't tight enough. So let me get down that tight. There we go. All right. And that would probably require a little adjustment there. Always good to cut one or two or three or four more of these rails than you need, so you have some test pieces. But there it is. There's the coping joint on the end of the curved rail.